So the first song I can remember writing was a song, I think, about my high school girlfriend, and I think it was called Coolest Girl Ever. The first time I heard myself on the radio that really sticks out is we had just come home from a cross-Canada tour opening for Matt Mays and El Torpedo, and we were driving down Sherbourne because the gig that night was at the Phoenix. And we were the opening band, and we pulled up to the stoplight, and the Edge 102 played Oh, the Boss is Coming. And we rolled the windows down, and we turned up the music, and we were like celebrating in the van together. And the only person on the street corner was an old lady who was looking at us like, who are these crazy people? And then we're like, this is us right now. So that memory sticks out as the first time we've heard ourselves on the radio. I think one of the first concerts I ever went to would have been like a local battle of the bands from some like the older kids at like a neighboring high school. And I never really heard what ska music was, which is a kind of a mixture of punk rock and reggae music. And there's like this little bar on the corner of Queen and Bathurst that's not there anymore. It's called the Reverb. But I just like entered this club. It was an all ages show, and all these kids were skanking, which is the dance that you do when you're listening to ska music. And I was like, what is this? This looks amazing. So that's the thing that kind of sticks out to me, is the first kind of adult-ish concert that I went to. The first album I ever bought with my own money probably was like, the thing that sticks out to me is like JayZ, The Life and Times of Sean Carter, Volume 2. I love JayZ to this day. The first song I can remember writing was a song, I think, about my high school girlfriend, and I think it was called Coolest Girl Ever. Which I wouldn't be able to listen to it, I'm sure, if I heard it back now, because it would just be too embarrassing. I have a hard time looking back at anything I did like even 2 weeks ago, so thinking about a song I wrote in high school would be hard. But I will say a song that was written in that period was called Tragic Flaw, which ended up being on our first record, which was released years later. So that song, I think, stood the test of time. Coolest Girl Ever, not so much. So the first time I performed live would have been with my neighbors, Alex and Eli, two brothers that lived across the street. Their mom, Leslie, nice enough to let them have like a full drum kit and guitar amps in their basement. And she was so keen to see her boys perform that we threw a house concert where she invited like all their friends and people from the neighborhood. And I think it was 2 nights, and they jammed everybody in the living room. And I remember we covered Mr. Jones by Counting Crows. So the first time we won a Juno was 2010. We had toured with Metric kind of through the East Coast, and we ended up in Newfoundland for the Juno Awards. And it was a very exciting time. And we won New Group of the Year. And, you know, this has exceeded any expectation we ever had as a band. But that Junos was very memorable because there was a storm coming and everybody was worried about getting off the island. So as the show was happening on the Sunday night, rumors started swirling that all the commercial flights were getting canceled. And so everybody thought, I guess we're going to be in Newfoundland for like the next week. And then other people heard, like, I heard Drake has a private plane, or Bublé has a private plane. And so people were trying to see if they could get on Bublé or Drake's private plane to get off the island. Our first Celebrities fan, it's hard for me to recall the first one, but recently we've become pals with Nick Nurse, and especially during the quarantine right now, we're sharing a lot of music. So he'll send me songs that he's listening to and vice versa. And he's been practicing diligently on the piano, and he's been learning Arkells songs. So he sent me knocking at the door the other day that he was learning. So that tickles me, the fact that the head coach of our champion Toronto Raptors is learning some Arkells makes me filled with joy. It's great.